Hey, what's up guys? I'm back once again with more chapter stuff to talk about. This time I am doing FairyTail, but I will be, going off notes because it's a lot of stuff to go over because it's a case of FairyTail, FairyTail, FairyTail in 3 chapter releases this week. I really chose a good week to start doing these manga reviews. Anyway, I'm going to go through these 1 chapter at a time, so yeah, this shouldn't take too long because despite there being 3 chapters, not a lot happened. We had 3 significant events, but a lot of it was just preparing for what's going to happen next or just concluding what's already happened and tying up a few loose ends. So first on the list is chapter 338, The Great Banquet. The entire cast of the Magic Games, or whatever they're called, is invited to the castle to celebrate and all that jazz and have a good time and just, yeah, party on down and all that sort of stuff. Now, throughout most of this chapter, Natsu is nowhere to be seen, and Wendy has a conversation with Mavis, and this chapter reinforces the fact that only FairyTail Guild members can see Mavis. Remember that, it's important. Urza, Miliana, and Kagura, who is Simon's sister, make up, so they're all friends and yay, all happy and stuff like that now, so that's tied up that little bit of the storyline. And the Sabretooth members, so Sting and Rogue, decide that they're going to, restart Sabretooth as a new guild, potentially, and they actually invite Yukino back in. She was the Celestial Spirit Mage who has the remaining 2 Zodiac Spirits and tried to give them to Lucy, but Lucy knocked her back on that offer, and they're, wanting to build a new guild. And Kagura, who is drunk at this point, says no, Yukino is part of our guild, Mermaid Heel, and then all the guilds get in and decide they all want Yukino in their guild. I don't know what this little part of the chapter achieved, but yeah, it happened, so I'm covering it, I'm mentioning it. The chapter really finishes off with Natsu coming bursting out, wearing a cape and the crown of the king, and saying, "Hey bitches, I'm the king, let's get this party started. We won the magical games, so I'm king and you're all my subordinates." And so they have a great time. It's a nice little party, but it doesn't... It resolves a couple of loose ends, making sure that Urza's storyline is really wrapped up nicely, especially with Miliana's anger towards Urza and Gerard in the last few chapters ago, where she saw them nearly kiss, and Kagura being, Simon's little sister. It's like, yeah, let's resolve all that, and all that sort of stuff. So, all in all, not a epic chapter, but not a terrible chapter. It's nowhere near as probably dividing as the end of the dragon fights, which were never fights in the first place. That was like, hey, we're gonna have a fight, and all that sort of stuff. Which brings us to chapter 339, The Stardust Essence. It is revealed that Cobra willingly went back into custody. Don't know why. Yeah, there's a bit revealed, but I'll get into that in a second. Doran Bolt, better known as Mest, who was acting as Gildarts's protege, meets up with Gerard, and he's actually erased the memories of the senators to protect the royal family because they were dabbling in dark magic and stuff like that, and that would actually be a very bad crime and will get them into a lot of trouble and probably put them in prison. So he erases or warps their memories, which is his ability, so that they don't get into trouble, and it's regarded as a dragon attack. Oh no, bad things happened, it was resolved. We don't know why it happened, but it happened and it was resolved. No one is any the worse off. Cobra reveals the existence of a guild called Tartarus, not Tartarus, who are another dark guild that used to be allied with Oricon 6 and another dark guild that's already been in the series. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. He says that the gates of Nightmare are opening, which means this guild is going to be on the move, and they're going to be probably main antagonists coming in. Are they going to be the ones responsible for Frosh's death in the alternate timeline? Will Natsu be able to prevent Frosh's death and stop Rogue going insane? Rogue has stated in 338 that he would not become like future Rogue, but can you really take his word for it? An old woman gives Meredy and Gerard a note that is from Ultia, and it is actually revealed, noticed by Grey towards the end of the chapter, and Gerard realizes it as well, that the old woman that gave them the note, and subsequently this same old woman walked past Natsu, Grey, Urza's, and Lucy's carriage. Natsu obviously trying not to throw up. She walked past their carriage, and Grey realized that it was Ultia, and then he realized that and Ultia both saved his life, and he's indebted to both mother and daughter. and this puts him in a bit of a funk, and he's obviously going to be pretty upset. But Altia has aged into a very old woman, so her loss of life wasn't she just vanished or anything like that, or she just died on the spot. She became an old woman, and this chapter is really her exit chapter. She's no longer going to be a part of the series, you know, carry on my legacy to Gerard, and it just has her final words, like writing in the sky sort of thing, and yeah, it's going to be the end of her chapter, which is a shame because she had really nice hips. Then we move on to chapter 340, which is just called Gift. The FairyTail Guild return to Magnolia and are greeted by the townsfolk who are really happy with them. Natsu proceeds to pull the crown out of his knapsack, and everyone's like, wait, you stole the crown? He's like, oh, wrong thing. Then pulls out the trophy that they won from the Mage Games. So FairyTail are now the pride of Magnolia, and while they were away, the entire town got together and rebuilt the guild into its magnificent new glory. It is fantastic. It looks amazing. So much better than the beaten down shack that they were living in for, you know, most of the 7-year time skip where Natsu and the group were trapped on the island with Mavis. A little evil looking critter is watching over this, and then he runs out of the sea. We follow that to find Zeref. Zeref is right near Magnolia, and Mavis shows up. And now this is why I told you to remember earlier that only FairyTail Guild members can talk to Mavis. Zeref actually says that he cannot hear or see Mavis, despite the fact that he knows that she's there. So that may mean that he's a former guild member of FairyTail and is just so powerful that he can see her still, or he was just very close to her in his life. But they actually have a conversation with each other, which culminates in Zeref saying that no one in the world is going to survive. Everyone is going to be exterminated, eradicated, or one E word that, you know, executed or whatever. Executed, I think is the word that is used by Zeref. And Mavis turns around and says, FairyTail will be the one that executes you, Zeref. You will be the only person that's executed here. And it's just massive standoff between the two of them before they go their separate ways. So that's leading into that. So we're leading into the Tartarus arc sort of thing. I assume that this Dark Guild is going to play a relatively big part in the near future. We have the Zeref, Agnolia sort of dragon stuff that's coming up very soon as well. Hopefully some building up by the group, especially Grey. Grey looks like he's going to get a bit of character development in the very immediate future because his life has now been saved by 2 women from the same family who sacrificed themselves. One froze herself in time, see what I did there, and the other one used time to save his life completely. So yeah, indebted to one family, and yeah, it's not like Grey to want to be indebted to someone, so he's going to have to become stronger so that no one else has to protect him. So we're probably going to have him either go off on a training journey or him just find a way to get stronger in the sight of the manga. So yeah, that's all I've got for this week. I'm sorry I've rushed through everything, but I wanted to get through all of this as quickly as possible. This is going to be a pretty long video as well, so I apologise for that. But 3 chapters, 60 odd pages, you can't expect much less than that. But yeah, not a lot has happened, but a lot has happened at the same time. It's hard to equate. So it's 3 chapters worth of content, but if these were to come out as 1 week worth of chapters, there wouldn't be much to talk about. So it's good that Mashima has gotten out these 3 chapters at once, and we've got 3 chapters next week, so I think this is just a nice way to end off one arc, start the next one, and it's a nice solid block to do it in. So we'll see what happens in the future. I don't have a lot of predictions because Mashima hasn't left himself much direction to go in, but yeah, all the dragons are obviously going to want to get stronger because they couldn't hold their own against dragons. And Mavis is probably going to make a point of this in one of the upcoming chapters and probably she may mention the Zeref thing, she may keep it from everyone, but I have a feeling Mavis is the sort of person to actually reveal this and say, hey, by the way, Zeref is coming, he wants to kill everyone, we need to get strong enough to defeat him. So yeah, that's all I've got to say for this week. I've looked at my notes, there's nothing else sort of there worth mentioning. I've covered pretty much every point that I wanted to. So yeah, if you guys have any comments or predictions or anything like that coming up, then leave a comment down there. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you like what you see and tell your friends about it and all that sort of jazz. And I'll catch you guys next week on the flip side.